are we going, guys? Welcome to yet another vlog. In this vlog, we are just out here in Southern Cross Station, and we're about to leave the city for a change and go and see what makes Ballarat so special. Welcome to my channel. My name is Oz. I'm happy to have you here. And let's go and explore Ballarat together and see what makes Ballarat so special and why is it the happiest city in Australia. So we're taking advantage of the free travel at the moment. As you can see, people just walking past through. There's no need for a Mikey or anything like that. So you can just walk on through. Public transport is free at the moment. So you don't need a card or anything. You can just walk through and off you go. We finally made it to Ballarat Station. So we're just here in Ballarat Station, which is really cool.
Switching Windaree is now ready for boarding on platform 1.
Oh, this is really cool. I'm actually liking what I'm seeing here. Very different. First impression, you got a nice little pub here if you're waiting. Over here, so it's like a bar restaurant type. So you can certainly get a coffee here. Yes, I definitely want a coffee to start my day in Ballarat. So we'll get a coffee and then we'll head outside and see what the city has to offer. Absolutely neat. And they have all sorts of stuff. But we're just gonna go coffee for now. And then we'll head outside. We'll take these off, that way we don't look like tools. The weather's actually quite nice outside. It's about 14 degrees today. So the time is, it took us about an hour and a half. So the time right now is 25 past 1. So we've got a whole day to ourselves to have a look around and see what the city has to offer. Got our coffee, so we've got to go outside and have a look-see. That coffee was $5.45. So it's about $2 cheaper than Melbourne. So that's very good. So Lynn is right here behind me. And my partner in crime, she's right there. But yeah, it's very, very neat. Old Victorian-style station. Definitely neat. So that's our little latte we got there. The setup is definitely very nice. And what else they got there? I think that's the exit there. That must be the exit. We'll go through here and have a look. And once again, that's very, very Victorian. The exit here. And first thing first, that's what we see of this place. Spilling my coffee all over myself. It's really hard to manage these things. I think I need to drink this first and then we can carry on with our vlog. Otherwise, I'm just spilling it all over the place. Okay. Right, we'll finish this coffee, we'll carry on. Yeah. I think we need to go that way.
It's all right. Buses?
We want to go into the city centre. Which way?
City here in Ballarat or city in Melbourne?
In Ballarat.
Walk up that street, go over the first street that goes across.
Yeah.
Make your way a little bit more in front of you. You're pretty much at the centre.
So that's the main drag.
Main street, yeah.
Thank you very much. Asian, man, look at that. This is absolutely beautiful. You know, old Victorian-style building. Very neat. Absolutely neat. We head over that way to the town centre. It's definitely very, very neat. So hopefully, hopefully we don't get any dramas for filming around this place. I don't think we should. You know, I'm definitely always wary that, you know, people can be a little bit strange sometimes, especially when you got your camera. But look at this old hotel, nice old hotel. When you look at this city, as you know, Ballarat has a lot of history. And the history of Ballarat has a lot to do with Melbourne as well. So when you look at the big smoke over there, you know, achieving things like the world most livable city, what do you call it, the world best city. This city here is also busy, quietly achieving its own status. You know, but Melbourne is what it is today because the city has a lot to play in it, you know, especially in 1850, 1851, all the way to the early 1900s. So when gold was first discovered in this city, which was back in 1850, people started rushing into this place, like, you know, in drones, mainly from Ireland, England, and also China. So there was Chinese people that were here back then. So the history of this thing goes back way, way, way back to that time, on that era. So the population like really doubled very, very quickly in no time, because you know it was actually fueling all the infrastructure in Melbourne. It definitely have funded Melbourne in a big way. But I just know everything around here that you see is what makes this place very special. It's almost like going back in time. Absolutely neat. So what we do is we walk along the main drag over here. There's some really nice buildings over there. And then we'll just explore the city as we always do. You know, go on a little adventure and see what we find. Definitely the sun's out. I wasn't expecting it, but it's very, very beautiful. You know, 14 degrees. Everywhere you look, it's a nice Victorian-style building. So we do that. So that coffee was nice. I'll give that an 8 out of 10. You know, it wasn't bad at all. But I've certainly had better coffees. So it's not 7 out of 10 like the last one. And they've got like nice little, you know, restaurants and bars out. If you come out here, you can certainly enjoy a nice lunch. And also the cost of living is a lot more cheaper out in here in Ballarat. It's a lot more cheaper than Melbourne. And that's one of the key things that this place has under its belt. And that makes it so unique as well. So when you look at places like Melbourne these days, I mean, the property price is just gone crazy. Even since the last time I've done that video about Pakenham and the prices, I mean, house prices gone up like as much as about another $20,000. So it's really, really expensive. But Ballarat, for some reason, is very, very affordable. But look at all this older architecture, you know, absolutely nice. And they do hold like big events here as well. They do hold big events in here. So we're just right in front of Flinders Art Gallery. I'm not sure whether it's open, but look at these buildings, guys. Absolutely nice architecture. Absolutely beautiful. So we go inside and have a look if it's open, and we can check it out. Otherwise, we just carry on with our vlog. Let's have a look-see. Let's have a look-see. Now that's part of the shop. Okay, that's just a shop in there. Yeah, so the gallery is closed, only the shop's open. So we keep on moving and exploring this place. What makes Ballarat unique? Why is it voted number 16 ahead of Paris, ahead of Singapore as the world happiest city? Well, you can only have to look around for yourself to see what that looks like. You know, this cultural heritage of this place has a lot to do with that. But also Ballarat is very, very cultural and very, very community-based for a city. It gives me that kind of Brisbane vibes. That's what it gives me. Let me just come over this way. That way you guys can have a look at these buildings on that side. So it gives me that Brisbane feeling. So it's a very community-friendly. So people are really into their community over here because of the events that they hold here. It brings the community together. Yeah, the cost of living is a lot more affordable in comparison to Melbourne. So as you can see, that coffee we just paid for that time, we only paid like about what, $5.45. So it's very affordable. So we'll see what we can find. I'm definitely intrigued. So the State Library of Melbourne was pretty much funded from gold that came from here. Very much so. I've got Lena with me, but hopefully I don't lose her. That's one of my things. I'm always losing her when we're together. So let's hope that we don't lose her. The sun is out and it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So if you talk about the population of this place, just in case you're wondering, as a fun fact, the population is around 127,000 people that live here. So it's not as big as Melbourne, but it's certainly big enough to hold a nice little community over here. So 127,000, and it's only like about an hour and a half from Melbourne. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I'm spoiled for choice. I don't know which direction that I need to go, but what we do is we just walk along here and have a look at that, and then after we walk along that way, and then we walk along that way and have a look at that as well. So first thing first, that way. We walk along that way. But look at all of those Nice historic buildings. Hang on, where's this chap here?
You're looking at a statue of Robert Burns, the famous Scottish poet. He's also known as Rabbie Burns, or the Bard of Scotland, and he wrote Auld Lang Syne, the song people sing on New Year's Eve. The statue is made of marble and Harcourt granite, and it shows him with his beloved border collie, Luther, often called the National Bard of Scotland. He's really well known for his poems and songs.
The Ballarat Mechanical Institute, that is, this building here, very neat. So there's actually a library in here, it's supposed to be, but I know we probably wouldn't be able to get into it. But it's all neat, very neat. And they've got like their opening hours there. That is closed, we can't get into that. But we just keep exploring the main drag over here as Lena is waiting, and she likes her exploration as well, and exploring. If you want your haircut or your hairdressers, they're just right there as well. The Grand Rail Hotel, how beautiful is that? I mean, the place is just so full of, it's just so full of historic building. Everything that you see here just yells history. It absolutely yells history. Who would have thought we'd be out here making a video in Ballarat as well? But we are here. And I certainly appreciate the fact that these smaller towns do get overlooked most of the time. They do get overlooked when it comes to people vlogging or just people exploring the city. So there's more to Victoria than Melbourne as always. So I know I've done a lot of videos in Melbourne myself, but for some reason, if we don't venture outside the city and also so what else is out there, people aren't gonna see it, but also people aren't gonna know it's here. And hopefully this kind of like help people see this city through my lens, and hopefully they can come out here and see it themselves as well. And also add value to the Victorian economy. It's a bit noisy down there, so we can't go down there, but we can certainly go down here. Look at a nice little waterfall here, but just look at the details on that. So the town hall is just right in front of us here, the Ballarat Town Hall, and we just have a look at that. So I could imagine all the decision makings were done over here, back in the days. There's another big statue here. Who is this fella? So we'll find out who that fella is, because we tend to just explore and not have a great deal of detail about that. It's a war memorial, so it's got like a guy with a rifle. So that's for the Victorians that have sacrificed during the war. And that's Town Hall there. This building is absolutely incredible. If we can capture it and get a thumbnail, absolutely thumbnail. Beautiful. So it's very, very popular with tourists. And I can certainly tell you from just what I can see, there's a lot of tourists there. They're also exploring. And so are we. And that statue definitely looked like Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria's statue. That definitely looked like her, because I know we've got one in the Queen Victoria building in Sydney, but also in Brisbane. And they've got one here as well. Very neat. Of course, we gotta have the Queen here, but look at this wonderful building. It's certainly a one of a kind. But I also like how they got this. It almost looked like a parade, with the buildings and everything just like in the center of town. You got like the roads on that side, but also on this side. Very neat. Of course, with all this older architecture, I know they've got the part of the city where everything is sort of like a little bit more modern, but also like the CBD area. So we'll go and have a look at that later, but let's just walk along here for a little bit. So we just walk along here and see whether that's open. would you be interested in like talking to me even if I don't show your face? The mayor is up here, the mayor of Ballarat. So I was talking to a gentleman up there, and as you know, a lot of people aren't very comfortable being on camera, but we need to go that way into the city and have a look. So it's about 1 month from now, they're gonna have their Heritage Festival. It's one of the biggest festivals they have, and basically it will be held here in about a month's time. So you could look it up on their website. Hopefully you can find that information. But if I find out the dates, I'll put that up on the screen for you, and that if that interests you. But we just walk along here and explore some more, and then after we'll go down that way and have a look over there as well. But anyway, that looks like that's just town center over here. Come on, let's just go over this way. So we'll just have a look quickly and see what we find here. It's just got like a barber shop, and it's really not a hell of a lot in here. So it's got a barber shop and just some more shops in here. So every arcade has their own little feel about them, but this actually ties into the shopping, the central shoppings. So that ties into that. Let's have a look down here. So you can access it from here. So once again, it smells really old. It's had that really vintage smell about it, but it's really well kept. I like that. It's got a lot of shops. Nice. It's different, certainly different. But that's what's in here. So having walked along over on that side earlier, that's actually their laneways, and just more of like, you know, your street bars and restaurants. That's pretty much it. I actually thought we'll have something like the laneways that we have in Melbourne, but it wasn't. It's quite different, but we keep exploring. It'll be nice to talk to someone, but as you know, this chap here with the camera, I tend to only talk to people when they're kind of interested in what I'm doing. You know, I know it will be much more nicer just to be able to do it, but I don't like making people feel uncomfortable. But then I've got like a big nice cathedral over there, and just look at that. Absolutely neat. Absolutely neat. So most of the time I feel like Melbourne takes all the limelight, and places like this, Ballarat and Bendigo and a lot of these other smaller towns around Melbourne get overlooked by vloggers, but not me. They will certainly be in my vlogs. It's actually the third largest city as well. Sorry, after Geelong. We've been to Geelong, but this is our first time over here. Okay, and there's another one right here. It's just some more historic buildings. There's another church over there. So during my vlogs, it's always nice to know the history of a place and talk about the history of a place. But I think it's more authentic when it comes from a local. So as a visitor, you want to focus on things like, you know, just the visual aesthetics of the place, instead of like, you know, the history of it. I wanted to capture some of these older homes here in the neighborhood. Nice old suburbia. Quite neat. We're just trying to find that, and yeah, we'll capture that in our vlog. But just some more of the older architecture right there. Absolutely neat. We just walk along here. I'm trying to avoid the sun. I'm trying to avoid the sun because I know that I can't see myself, especially when the sun's pointing in my direction. Absolutely neat. But that's the feel of that. Just Saturday, people just chilling out, enjoying their Saturdays. Nice and easy. I really like this lifestyle, you know. And for some reason, most people actually live here, but they work in Melbourne. And because of the distance between here and Melbourne is very, very close, so you can catch the V line that brings you out here. but the people also do catch the V line and go to Melbourne for their work. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. You never know what you find. It's just got like a whole bunch of umbrellas, but it's like a bars and restaurants down there. So we're just gonna carry on this side, probably in that direction and away from there. But that was very interesting there. So yeah, back to my story. Since it's very close to Melbourne, people commute from here to Melbourne for work. So you get big city money, but then you can still like live like a king out here with that kind of money. But the average house prices here, you're probably looking at around the 600 or, you know, what do you call it, 700,000. So it's not as expensive as Melbourne, a little bit more cheaper. But they can also go up to about 1 million. So you can certainly expect to pay a little bit more when you're in places like on the waterfront end of it. So they got a lake here, but the lake is about a 50 minutes walk, and we probably wouldn't be able to walk that and all the way since we don't have a car. Well, we're not able to find any gold yet, but we can certainly see some of those big nuggets there, samples of it on the window. So as you know, the history of this place ties with that. So at one point they were actually discovering big ones like that, and at a very, very shallow depth. This place is so amazing. You would not think like, you know, these places still exist, or you could only find something like this in England. But now you can find it here as well. Absolutely can find it here. Let's have a look-see around here and you can have a feel for that. And we can wrap this vlog up. So I'll just be quiet and let you guys absorb that. For a second. Let's got the bar down there. As you know, the Eureka Tower over in Melbourne, the history of that tower, or the name Eureka, is an event that happened here in Ballarat. So it's more like a blockade that the miners had going on here with the mining license. So I think they lost something like about 22 people got killed in that mining incident because of the mining license were very, very super expensive, and people were getting ripped off, and also there was a lot of corruption around that as well. So the golden bit on the tip of the tower, it's a 24-karat gold, but also it's got like a little red tear in the middle of it that actually supposedly symbolizes the blood that was lost in that conflict, you know, confrontation that they had. But yeah, that happened here as well, so that's where that is. Ballarat is really very tied up to Melbourne in a big way, and it definitely has helped Melbourne become what it is. At one point, it was the same amount of population, but what gave Melbourne the edge was the fact that Melbourne had a port. So the port in Melbourne definitely gave Melbourne that edge. But you can certainly bring your kids with you and just come out here for the day, especially when you get tired of the big smoke. As you country folks will call it, the big smoke. And I also am aware of that a lot of people can't travel or go to these places anymore. We're trying to be a little bit more logical here, and you know, trying to save money as well. And instead of having to pay all the time to go somewhere, this is a free experience. You know, it doesn't cost us to do this experience. It's absolutely free. Hello. Or should I say ni hao? Yeah, see, like that. That's very good. I find people always appreciate it, even if it's like a single word that you know of their language and you actually do speak to them in that. You know, it seems to really perk them up and, you know, put a smile on their face. But we just walk over here and see what we can find, and then we can decide whether we need to look any further. But look at all of that. Very cool. So given we don't have a car and we're not driving in here, we're actually walking everywhere. So we were hoping we could go to the tram museum, but it's a little bit further away. It's almost like about 50 minutes if we were to walk it, and that's going to be a little bit difficult. And we're trying to keep this as a small, you know, budget-friendly kind of a travel, something that you can do that doesn't cost you anything. But right now we're just right at the top end of the city. So you can see the sun's out there is doing his thing, and we're just standing here. Absolutely neat. Me and my trusty partner here. All right, guys, I think that brings us to the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed this Ballarat little tour. You know, trying to make it a very, very short video. And if you do, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and I will certainly see you on the next one. Bye.